One of the things that I find interesting is that some of the characters in the book are with us here.
Welcome back to the podcast. These 3 episodes involve a
You want to be
fireman,
out there as number one, people are going to want to shoot you down. I'm happy just to sit down under the radar and go through with a smile on my face.
a CEO,
Yeah.
This is the CEO that
You
we're all
are in the
about.
presence of a CEO.
I used to work for Paul previously. There's a big difference between a good manager and a good leader, and quite often they can't do both.
and a colourful drummer.
That's your seat over here. This man is a champion drummer, toured the world.
Well, you've hit rock bottom here today.
Creating a group of wonderful misfits, discussing themes drawn from Paul and my...
I think I told at least 3 bosses to suck my balls on. Drink up.
Cheers.
It's split into 3 parts and is a highly intellectual conversation.
What I really need to say is that I really need to do a wee. Where can I go do a wee?
Enjoy.
Because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're
Can't
not
rule
out
it.
to get you.
Can't rule anything out, really.
Well, they're often the
In
people.
all lack of likelihood.
Often the people that have these ideas often say that, how do you know it, that there isn't? And that's a strange argument. How do you know?
Where
that
does the
it
burden
isn't?
of proof lie? On the conspiracy theory or the...
Because obviously you can.
I'm just going to go and water the vegetables.
You gotta keep it simple.
Alan's just going to go off and water the vegetables. Makes life a lot simpler.
No baby
Watch
eaters
them
out.
grow
No baby eaters out here.
and take them out. Okay.
I actually started rolling a minute or two ago, just in case someone
Ah,
says
well, it was all pretty insightful, so I guess that's
Oh
good.
no, I don't know whether we want
Oh,
to.
we're
I
in
don't talk
trouble
about
already.
conspiracy theories now.
We haven't, we haven't discussed flat earthers yet. Let's.
Yeah. I mean, it feels flat. But I've been given strong advice, good advice that it's not.
Okay.
So I'm proceeding on that basis for now.
Okay, so we've each read the book, except Joe and I probably know more about it than you two guys, because we went over and over it so many times. One of the things that I find interesting is that some of the characters in the book are with us here, and and somehow the people here have identified themselves in some ways with parts of the characters. And firstly, we have Macca here, who I said identifies with good old Alan. And firstly, Alan
Yep.
was a person that we created together, or you more or less
Yeah.
first, after a man of...
Loosely based on a real Alan.
yes, a real Alan.
Yeah.
Loosely based on real Alan.
Alan. Yeah.
Alan who?
Alan. What? What's his name?
Alan Watts.
What?
What's his name? Alan Watts.
Yeah,
Alan Watts. Is it Alan Watts?
It is Alan Watts.
Okay.
So Alan Watts was
Might be based on
Alan
him,
Watts
yeah.
didn't live a long life, but he
No,
wrote and said things
correct.
that are still part of what is folklore around
Yeah, and they're in a lot of
philosophy,
YouTube
maybe
videos and Instagram.
psychology, and a very deep thinker. But one of the things that he wanted to say often was, why does a man suffer? But anyway, that's your line.
Yeah.
And
Save it for me, please.
You have you have an interesting journey in your own way of what happened to your mind, because you spoke to me this morning on the way here about reading a book that shifted your awareness and consciousness about how your mind thinks and how you think of yourself. Tell us more about that.
My history of reading books.
Well, I know it wouldn't be an extensive history because...
No, well, I've read... you made me read this one. You blackmailed me into reading this one.
Well, you had to.
That was a favour for yourself.
If you wanted to remain my friend, you had to.
Yeah, well, that's right. No, I did feel I owed you a favour.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was...
You read the book and you owed me a favour.
We'll take it.
Thanks. Okay, go
Yeah,
on.
well,
I was going to read it when you took me away, but I didn't have time. I was having too much fun.
Okay.
Okay, so, but yeah, we'll go the brain injury. But read a lot of books in philosophy, and of which this is certain take on how to live a life well-meaning and different aspects of way people run their lives, and that's all philosophy is anyway. But I read a lot of books in philosophy, and you take small bits from each book and you live your life or whatever around them, whatever it takes to get you by. But 6 years ago, I read another book, and that book put everything in perspective and made me just think more about why are we taking everything so seriously.
Yeah, I noticed that about you, that you'd have somehow seen yourself being that serious person, and then once you got past the idea that you were the most important person in the whole realm of your existence, that you could get over somehow what I might call the ego-driven idea of yourself, because the ego seems to want to fight, and once you realise that that ego can be something that you can let go and just be you, then we had that conversation a number of times about the idea of being available for who we are in the moment, rather than in what we are trying to attempt to portray all the time, but more in a place of accepting, that's my ego at work. Why am I so angry, or why am I taking myself so seriously? Am I really that important? Have we got the time left in our lives to be that important?
No, I haven't got that time anymore.
You have to make time.
Yeah, not to be too seriously.
It's important.
No,
to be
I
important.
don't take too much seriously these days. You don't judge people. You get along with people, and the way to get ahead in life, and learned a long time ago, you want to be out there as number one, people are going to want to shoot you down. And I'm happy just to sit down under the radar and go through with a smile on my face.
Or
you know?
on your chest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, no.
Yeah, you come with a level of contentment around that existence and self-acceptance, and also you seem to also be in a place of happy to help out. So if there's something you can do to help another, you're willing and to do that without complaint.
Well, unfortunately, I've always been a community-minded person.
Well,
and I do feel that's how we get along in life. We do things for other people, help people out.
yeah,
Doesn't all have to be for money.
no.
Like Norm, Norm wouldn't do it.
Norm has to be paid.
Norm
I reckon.
wouldn't-
He does a lot of things not for money. He does things for attention,
Sorry, yeah.
to look good.
That's right.
Lots of stuff, yeah.
But if you're trying to live your life under the radar, you don't want attention.
No.
You don't need other people saying, great job, because you don't want to be seen.
Well, you can do a great job, and if you do get acknowledgement around doing a great job, it's not the intention of doing the great job. The good job that you can do, if the intention is that you want to be a good person, do what is valuable and helpful to people around you, creating the community and the dynamic that exists for you. The place of where that is in the giving of it, without the need to have an attachment or an expectation of looking good. And looking good is something that's very difficult to try and understand, because I find myself, why am I doing this? Why did I bother? Why am I here with this beautiful tie and suit on? Thank you, I think it's beautiful. But if the purpose of me was to look good, which is also me, to identify what you're attempting to do or say, why are we here? Do you think? What is this about?
Life, living.
Living.
This is a fun outing for me. no one invites me to sit down and talk with them like this.
I've had this conversation with
glad
Joe
you're having
that some of what's motivating us in our intention is self-entertainment.
Definitely.
I got that from the book, Paul. So there was a lot of self-entertainment
Serious
in the writing of it.
Yes,
You can't laugh at yourself.
No, I like the idea of having a laugh, and if you can laugh at yourself first, then the taking yourself less seriously means that you're open to see it from a place where anger and complaint isn't the first thing you think, because you'll always find people that will give you the shits, You know? But as they give you the shits, it could be a funny thing that you can see about that and see them in a humorous light rather than in a light that pisses you off. And the book, I think, sometimes goes down that road of going, hey, that guy could easily piss that guy off, but how do you view it and how do you accept it? But yeah, I think Alan, Acker Alan, has a place where he's walking around half schnozzled in a wine bottle most of the day.
Half a bottle of wine. I thought there might have been one by the table for me.
Well, we have some scotch here for later.
Yeah, maybe next time.
So yeah, some of the things that you've shared in moments when we've been together have been very much Alan-like in the way you view life, and the simplicity of that is sometimes taken for granted. But I think in the simplicity of it, there's a lot of truth.
Well, as Alan says about the, hang on, let me go to it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got something, you prepared yourself. I'm impressed.
Yeah, well.
I'm impressed, Alan.
Doubly prepared because I've got my glasses as well.
Oh, wow. He's got 2 sets, actually.
Yeah, that's in case I fall asleep.
That's
idea.
Where Greg's talking, that's one
Expect him to be bored. Came prepared for every possible
It's
scenario.
only, if there's a drip in the ceiling, I might be worried around here. There's a bit of electrical gear, but if it's at a retreat and it's just a bit of water running down the wall, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
It's how seriously you take things.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Does nothing. He just leaves the drip.
Oh, that's right.
But why does man suffer so much?
Why does man suffer so much?
Well, you have to read the book to get it.
Ah, very good. Man knows. Man knows how to sell a book.
Anyway, Alan asked everyone, why are we suffering? Why are we suffering?
It's all about how we view the suffering. I think if like we said this morning, if the suffering is viewed in a way of acceptance rather than escapism, suffering is part of it. Part of the journey is to recognise that suffering is part of it. That's interesting.
Accepting oneself and your good bits, your bad bits, whatever they are, that's all part of it.
That's part of it. Here comes Selene, the great Selene. Come on through, my friend. Good morning. Okay, you're on.
He's got his own copy.
You're on camera now, so you're a slow mover. That's your seat over here, Selene.
You're not mic'd
Be
up.
careful of the cords.
Might not be easier going that way. Oh, either way, just...
Gently, because we've got to put a...
we got enough copies here. There's another one.
You would have brought something about... Yes, you have.
Actually, I got through a little bit of it.
Good. We know you wouldn't be a reader that could read a lot for a while.
From the bottom, pop it out the collar.
Yeah,
Run
why
it
not?
up. That's the way to do it. Thank you, Sam.
There you are, sir.
On to you.
Just make that into a thing.
It is a
Funny how you sit like a drummer. This man is a champion drummer, toured the world playing the drums. Went to Japan and
up, so I thought,
Las Vegas and all over
I'll
the
go
place.
all out.
Yeah, mate.
Now you
That's
look
what we're
like a
talking
drummer.
about.
You certainly look the part.
Well, you've hit rock bottom here today.
I realised that when I was like, oh, gee, I'm going to be late. This is going to be bad.
There's nothing unusual about you being late. I was expecting it.
You've got to be there to experience it.
Being governed by time is not one of the things that you have, and it's a trait that I also don't have.
Yeah.
So time is not something
Punctuality
that
is the key,
I'm good
isn't
at. But I did get taught something one day about time, and I went and did a course called the Curriculum of Living. It was a 3-day course brought about by Landmark Forum, American mad people, and they were saying that time is one of the most important things to show respect for each other. So, I said, what about doctors when I rock up to the surgery? They don't, they don't give a stuff about whether I'm there on time or not.
Not that they're busy at all.
No, whatever. But the idea that you're showing respect for the time by being there on time, that you're actually governed in life by showing respect to the people that you arrange time with. So therefore you should be on time. And I got told off by the leader guy that my opinion around time was something that I was carrying around with me, and that I was proving someone wrong. And when I analysed that, I realised that I was proving my father wrong, because often he would be the one who would say, "You don't respect time." And I said, I'll show you how I don't respect time, I won't. So it was becoming a trait of mine, and they would call that a strong suit, and a suit that you would take on and become without being aware that you're becoming it, because you took it on as a younger person.
Subconsciously.
And you keep doing and repeating the same pattern, because you're proving to yourself that you know something that someone else doesn't.
That makes sense.
And to find those things in our journey and to recognise them and to slap yourself out of those unhelpful...
it's a hard process to do that.
It's because they're unhelpful.
I've sat and watched and listened to friends, pointing fingers, abusing their children.
Yep.
And doing it regularly.
How old are these children?
I say, and you expect them to change. When you was a kid, you just said about Dad. When Dad's going, "You don't respect this, you don't respect me," you turn off and go the other way. Yep. And you expect those kids to change by you pointing your finger at them, yelling at them, "You can't do that, you better do that."
Do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly.
And what you're actually creating is the very
disharmony,
the very place of what they'll become by your. So often the focus that we have on what is not helpful for us is where we'll tend to go, because we want to prove.
I think there's a little bit of rebel in all of us.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And no one likes being told what to do.
Yep.
And it's even harder in a workplace. I suffered badly from it. I didn't last too long in too many of them. But
I think I told at least 3 bosses to suck my balls on. At least 3.
And did they?
They didn't. No, they fired me.
So they don't like being told what to do either.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it the child in us that's rebelling, or haven't we found our calling? So. Because if you sabotage your situation, often that might be that you actually you don't want to be there. And if you don't want to be there because for whatever reason you haven't got developed enough to be able to accept that that's your role or whatever, survival's not enough reason, whatever reason you might have to move on, or whatever complaint you have with yourself, how developed can you be as an individual to survive in the world that we all attempting to survive in, and contributing to society to actually get rewarded back? So obviously, this book's about people who are trying to become someone that is valuable in a position. So we've got to go to where do we find ourselves, and what do we find ourselves doing? I was the cleaner, so I was cleaning, and as I'm cleaning, I meet my mate, who's Glenn, and very young. We're trying to make a living, going out cleaning windows.
Just for shits and giggles, how old were you at that age?
When I was cleaning windows?
When you met Glenn?
I met Glenn when I was 11.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes a bit more sense.
So, yeah, we were very young. We were at church together.
Yeah.
So we used to check the girls out at church. But no. Yeah.
It's true. He's telling the truth.
So the common ground was we were laughing at ourselves at church. So I used to be out the back of the church having a laugh at what we were doing. But in the looking good, we decided to go out what's called pioneering. So we went out selling watchtowers and wax. And the more hours you did selling watchtowers and wax, the more spiritual you were. So the more you looked good and felt good, because you were getting God's approval, but you're more importantly getting the approval of the community you're in. So we're caught in a sect of looking good.
Nowadays they call that networking.
Well, now they call it networking.
or a cult.
Well, there's always that.
Very interchangeable.
So,
it is, isn't it?
So to become the person that was good at communicating was how I become. And obviously, to feed the machine, I started window cleaning. So the window cleaning machine was let's go out there and clean the windows. That give us more time to go preaching, but also it gave us time to play golf. But when you got good at cleaning windows quickly, we started to build a little business around window cleaning, which is a funny game, but why would you clean? But back in those days, that was the start of it all. So that was the vehicle that you knew you could have. But that gave me the shit. So then I went and worked at McDonald's, and
Did you?
Yes, I was an assistant manager at
Really?
McDonald's for a year.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I knew how to flip burgers. And one day I rocked up for a shift at Highney Street, and I'm got a no-show. Back in those days, called no-shows, and I had a no-show on grill. So I walked in as the shift manager, and the guy who Leo had left 10 minutes prior to me getting there, and I got there on time, but he had to go. So there was no shift manager for 10 minutes. I rock up, and the first thing that I realise is I've got a no-show. So I say, shit, I've got to get on the phone. So I get on the phone and say, I need a grill. And the guy I need a grill is half an hour away, because he can get there. So I got no grill. Without a grill, it's not easy to cook hamburgers, right? So I said, okay, I have to take grill station. So I'm running the show with grill station. Then suddenly we get boomed because it's lunchtime. So we get boomed, I'm on the grill. So I'm laying patties, right? And so I'm off going flat out. Got to lay 12 and 6 flat out, and you get the kids going, right? The dining room out there is getting a bit packed, starts to get a bit. Someone's got to go out and do dining room, to clean up after the mess, because there's nowhere people sit. So things are pumping at the moment. As things pumping, I'm looking up, and I'm looking up, and who should walk in? But the Australian manager of McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
Who's come to see how the shop is performing and to give me a score.
Oh, wow.
So I see
He
him.
didn't want a burger, did he? Sorry, we got no one to
I was
cook
going to
him.
say,
I'm surprised
you
you
didn't
didn't
grill
ask
him,
him to
did
get
you?
on the grill. Get on the grill.
I saw him.
Yeah.
His name was Bill.
Did you know who he was?
Huh?
Did you know who he
Yes.
was? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
He wasn't
I
an
did
undercover
not.
boss or something.
No, he was
that's
the real
what I was
guy. And so I said to him, I'm waiting for a grill cook. He goes, have you seen the kitchen? I said, have you seen the dining room? I said, yeah, I'm on top of it, but I've only been here for 20 minutes because I've come from a shift. I've just started. I'm waiting. I got a no-show on the grill. I said, could you take it over? Yeah, I gave him this back. Really? And he didn't know how to say no.
Yeah.
Because he's like,
That's a horrible trait.
can I say no now?
No, you can't. Well, you can. But
And he gave me a score
Will
of
you?
327 out of 500, which is a fail for the way that
27 out of 500.
for the way that.
That's what the fail was.
But I learned a lot from my McDonald's years. To answer your question, yes.
Yep.
And I did other jobs as well, but anyway, we won't go into that.
Yeah, I never knew that.
We're talking about the book, so let's focus on all the things that we're trying to exist as, and where and how we find ourselves in a position to be able to contribute to society. And we went before you were here because you were late, and we were discussing.
We were discussing.
I heard it was the time that I arrived.
No hard feelings.
We were discussing Macca here, and in the book, once you read it,
I got to the Sally part.
well, that's the first chapter.
She's great. I love her.
That's the
She's
most.
fantastic.
That's the most read chapter because
You
that's
wait
as
till
far
you
as
find out
people
what
go.
that
It took me about 3 days to go through the first bullshit, like all the pages of nonsense. Oh, this is a signed copy for me.
Did you draw your own penguin?
I've got a pen just to do it, but I haven't got around to doing it just yet.
Well, within the book, there's a bloke named Alan, and this is Macca, but Alan is a character after a gentleman named Alan Watts. You remember who Alan Watts is, the famous?
Yes.
Yeah, you have.
Yep.
You know about Alan
Yep.
Watts. So within the book, we have an Alan who likes to have a red wine
Yep.
and grow veggies, and
Like every Alan does.
and within the book, there are other characters that you'll find that. Both,
Somewhat similar to other people.
both Joe and I have related to in our journey in business, except Joe's not a businessman. He's
Author?
what are you, Joe?
I'm still trying to figure that part out.
You're a prodigy.
Yeah.
Prodigy.
You're a prodigy.
Yeah.
Ah,
A
right.
generalist prodigy.
Generalist
Generalist
prodigy.
I pick up things and I
Yeah, make them work.
prodigize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And then write about
Make
it.
shit work.
I just
So how did you prodigize to Paul?
He just fell
doesn't
in the
know
right
I-
place at the right time.
He doesn't know I prodigize.
Ah.
You stalked him?
No, well, yeah. I just I worked with what I had. And this is the result.
Pretty dismal, don't you think?
Actually, I thought I did quite well. You can only
Look, I've seen it. It'd been 3 days, right?
You can
And
only
it was
work
43 views.
you can only work
Yeah, well, we got 44 now.
you can only
Oh,
work
well.
with what you got.
I reckon if we rolled it in
That's true.
glitter,
That's true.
it'd sparkle.
I need glitter though.
What we're trying to do is encourage some young ones
think a
like you.
sparkle.
Yeah.
That's why you're here, so that maybe someone that looks like you could have, something to say that could inspire others to be more aware and more self-conscious and more. So that's why you're here.
Yeah.
You're here to look for ways for us to market this story.
I didn't
and
have
to
enough
share
time to read the story past Sally, so
Well,
I'm sorry about that.
I know you're too busy, but
I am very busy. I've got
yeah,
a lot
I
of things to
can-
do.
I can imagine.
I've heard of people reading the same chapter twice.
I didn't bother doing that. There wasn't that much depth in it.
Only just.
That's why I read it the second time. I was trying to find the depth in it. And
There
I
was
thought I
none.
was missing something.
Did you read
And
the
I
whole?
was missing
Have
something.
you read the whole lot?
I have not. I'm about a third in.
Has anyone read the whole lot?
He's doing better than me.
You have. How many times?
No, the once was enough.
That was enough. Yeah.
How many times is he supposed
I
to
got the
read?
message.
It's a message.
Well, you're here, so that's
There's
the
a
main
message
thing.
in there. There is a
He's
message in
made
there.
it.
It's,
He's made it to the other side.
Yeah.
He's an example
I've come
you're
out alive.
enlightened.
of what you two
Still
could
here.
be.
I think different though. It's,
Yeah. What? Because of the book or just life in general?
He doesn't know it, but it's
yeah, I'm not sure whether it was. My mind's a bit fuzzy at the moment. I keep looking at this drink on the table, but I can't have one.
No, you can have one in a minute. Well, we're going to sort that out. I did thank you for bringing it up because I have got it's a beautiful bottle, isn't it?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Summit at Barrel Lane single malt.
I actually did
Sheep's
notice this bottle in one of the trailers that I
Oh, it
saw.
would have been a different bottle.
Different bottle, yeah.
A different bottle, but same
enjoy
sort of
we
brand.
enjoy a Scotch.
We are of such
enjoy
a
a
cultured
Scotch.
calibre that there'll be a different bottle of scotch.
We just think you
It's not the same one that you refill every
No,
time.
when you have
with tea.
when you have one little taste of quality Scotch, it sort of might loosen up the verbal
Yes, I know that.
chords or whatever.
We had
You
that
might,
at
you might be able to say
every
something.
time we got on stage, we'd have to. Well, I especially would have to have a couple Jaegers before I started.
There you go.
And my mate would have a couple Scotch.
Trick to the trade.
Oh yeah, you need to loosen yourself up, otherwise, to deal with
So
crowds
no
and
one's
audiences.
no one's sober up there.
Nah, at least 2 drinks, you're not sober.
That's part of the culture, though, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Would you like
And then you put on a
yeah,
fantastic
yeah,
show. It doesn't matter if you remember it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is it?
over here.
Everyone wants a
I
bit
was
of ice,
minding
pop
the
the
ice.
ice, pop
No, we don't do that here, man.
No ice?
No ice, thank you.
No, he's just saying ice.
We brought ice.
Keep up with
He's trying
him.
to be a hard.
Maybe a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Oh boy, he's trying to be all hard here, but
I like
That's a big cube of ice, man.
I like my Scotch cold. Don't you?
I do.
I like it just over a little bit of ice. And to have a Scotch in the morning is most unusual. We are
That's unusual.
we're gonna
I'll go
attempt
some
it.
ice.
We're going to
If
attempt
it's
to
that
take
kind
a
of ice,
bay.
we'll
It's
go.
8 o'clock in the morning
You gotta
and it's freezing
to
cold
the
with
seven
rain.
to the seven people
100%,
to
mate.
the
Just-
seven
yeah,
people
just so
that
everyone
might
knows.
watch this.
This is being recorded at 8 in the morning.
No, it's not.
And it's time.
It's been
And it's
recorded
time for
before
I didn't manage to
midday,
change my clock.
and we're
It's
having
way past lunchtime, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell too.
Lunchtime yesterday.
we're having a Scotch, and we're having one for Rory as well.
Oh, of course.
Because the guy who's doing
How's
the
he going to do his job?
Rory
without
is doing
the
his job.
courage?
he needs to have a taste as well. I think of
we-
Rory.
we-
because-
When you're not in the limelight,
We haven't forgotten you, Rory.
you definitely don't need a Scotch as much as the people in the limelight. That makes sense.
Oh, very very interesting. You made some sense, or so you think.
I'm asking you. What do you
Says
think?
the guy who wrote this book.
Hey, you got my back.
No need for limelight here.
Can I throw out a swear with it? Fuck you.
Yes,
How
and
much
he'll
is
go.
that?
He'll
That's
go.
the book about Fridays.
That's the vote.
That's the
Really,
fuck
we
you,
actually
it's
got beeps
Friday.
in there.
Yeah.
I don't know they had
How
beeps
much is
these
too
days.
much?
That is perfect what you're doing, because if anyone wants another...
Oh,
A little bit more would be alright, but
No,
no,
he can, it's fine. He
yeah,
can have some more later.
this is a bit of a nervous
Nice will
situation.
do it nicely.
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect.
Make sure they're all the same.
That's equality.
I should have brought a measurer. Oh, that's a bit little.
Should have brought a metro.
I got one.
If you go overboard with one, Joe, I'll take the
Yeah,
rap.
well,
Oh,
we can figure that out.
you seem like that kind of person.
It smells lovely. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
you
you.
want the biggest one, Alan?
Sure.
Which one's that?
The bottom.
There's only 5 of us here. Who's got the 6th one?
Over there.
Oh, he's not allowed to have one though. He's behind the scene.
No, Roy
No, I
always
think
gets
he,
one.
All right, come on, grab your drink.
No, you can't go and give it to him, Roy. You have to come over and get it, mate.
Yeah, I understand that.
That one's probably got more.
Hey,
What do they say in Turkey?
I don't
Drink
know.
up.
cheers. Never been there.
Or gobble gobble.
What do they say in Turkey?
It's been a delight.
You didn't get a gig there, did you?
Oh, there we go.
I didn't.
I think that's
Still trying.
my breakfast.
That's bloody beautiful.
There you go.
That is
What would you
beautiful.
rather be doing at 8 a.m. in the morning? Than...
That's right.
I did, because I've never done a podcast and I've never really
Careful,
looked
that's
much
open,
into
right?
them.
Don't tip it out.
I won't,
Put it away.
tip
put
it out.
down.
Jeez, calm
Yeah,
down.
you're
I'm an
supposed
alcoholic.
With steady hands and
He
drummer.
treasures alcohol.
Wolves, the cockles.
Where's the beer?
He treasures alcohol. He doesn't waste it.
See, everyone's smiling now. One
If it
drink,
drops on the
one
floor,
sip.
there's straws about.
Shows you the value.
That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, now let's get
Anyway,
on
with it.
AA's just around the corner. I got a meeting there after
Now,
here.
I did get a shock when I looked at the thing and I saw 3 hours. Is it really 3 hours worth of us sitting
Well,
here
not with you
talking
rocking
shit?
up late, and
Yeah.
Well, 2.5 hours, 2 hours,
we
maybe
don't
1 hour and
know.
a
We
half.
don't know. Hopefully not too long.
Because people get bored, that's all I'm saying.
No, I'm
No,
bored already.
we'll split it up.
Before I got here.
Split it up.
Split it up into bits.
Okay,
Alright.
good.
Yeah, well,
It depends if you're entertaining, because you can make splits of 15
Oh, so
minutes.
it's not
and then
so
you-
much live, it's we do whatever the fuck we want and then we cut and paste.
No, you can come back for it.
Alan's
I'm bored already.
Alan's going to sleep. Oh, we'll talk to someone else.
Say, hey,
Stops the dribble.
You have a nap.
cheers,
He's had one drink.
Stops the dribble.
He's had one drink, one sip.
one sip is fucked.
There you
He's
go.
already got the glasses.
You-
Yeah.
at
See you
least
in the morning.
at least 5
it
people
is the
will
morning.
watch it. Us 5.
Yeah,
Right? So,
yeah, that's
so we'll
right.
watch ourselves.
Multiple
So,
times.
so at least we're going to get a number of looks at it.
Yeah,
But you
that's
never know. People might find this entertaining.
Yeah.
If it depends on you and whether you can entertain or not. You know.
Well,
so
definitely
you,
not.
you might say something that's worth listening to.
I was going to be an
Have we got
absolute
some
retard,
tom-toms?
but I thought
And you
I'll just put it at the halfway mark.
to try and remember what you may or may not have said is always interesting, because you go back
Yes.
to it and go, well, I'm probably smarter than I thought it was. But anyway, let's get
Oh,
into
you're a fucking hypocrite. Not you per se. Just I'm saying everyone. Like you look at yourself and you go, "Fuck, I'm a hypocrite." I've just said that, and I look back at it and oh fuck, now I've said this. I've gone back on my word. I've gone back on what I said originally. That's my belief. But hang on, that was
I'm
back
not-
then.
I'm not
That was in
doing
the
what I-
past.
You're allowed to change.
I'm not.
You are. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
change.
Yeah, I'm not.
And you might.
I've never
Never changed.
done that. No.
Never always been the same way.
Everything I say, because what I say, I feel no obligation to follow up on. That's the way out of that door.
That is fantastic, and that's why that bow tie sits so well on your
there's
neck.
What you say, yes. There's what you say is one thing,
Yeah.
and then people can act on that, and it might be. That's their problem.
I don't
Why-
buy that, Joe.
why-
That is fucking
You
bullshit.
said to him, yeah, I'll write a book with you, and spent 2.5 years
Yeah.
of
2.5 years.
agonising.
Wow.
That's a man that follows
I
through,
haven't-
because God knows that must
Or
have
was it
not
that
been...
someone was the progeny?
That must have been a
was
nightmare.
pushing him.
It was. I'm glad to bring this topic up again. It was challenging, and I hung in there.
How do you feel now?
oh, well, it's so good to see it done. It's like, wow, I survived.
I give credit where credit's due.
It's a book.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah.
It absolutely
I reckon
is.
anyone
It's a
can
bloody
do it
book.
these
I mean,
days.
and it's got pages, and it's a thick book.
Were you telling the story
it
about
feels like
the...
it's got weight.
It does have weight.
It does, man.
35
I've whacked a
grams.
few people already with it.
Well, you're instructed not to do that.
I know, but I went
What was it
against that.
before the album You've Been Ripped Off? Was that you told that
yeah,
story?
Rodney Roode brought out an album
Rodney
called
Roode.
"You've Been Ripped Off," and so at the very beginning, it just does his signature laugh, and then it plays
And it was over?
plays in silence right to the last part of the record, and then it's just him saying, "You've been ripped off." And yeah,
Really?
literally, yeah, yeah.
What a fucking cunt. Honestly.
Hundreds of thousands.
We're talking Rodney Roode, we're allowed to swear. But what a cunt, man. He'd bring out a record with
It was brilliant.
silence.
It was brilliant.
The point.
I'll just
point
have
is,
another sip.
You have another sip. The point is that constitutes
love
an
that
album,
guy.
right? And the thing with something like this,
Apparently.
right? The thing with something like this is that I say to people, they go, "What do you do? What have you been up to lately?" And I go, "Oh, I wrote a book." And as soon as you say that, doesn't matter what it's about,
Yep.
what's in it,
They're amazed.
they're impressed.
They want an autograph.
They don't show it, but I think they are amazed. And so you can say what you want about the crazy storyline and the pages, and you can throw all that, but at the end of the day, I don't care, because I know people are impressed. And that's it.
Joe, I'm impressed
it.
by
Well, you
that.
think
and
that people are impressed, and that's about the same thing.
I live in the land of believing that they are impressed. And I won't let anything
Live in
pull
the
me
land
down
of
from that
make-believe.
high.
I completely agree with you there. People have been asking me, well, what are you doing on Thursday? And I'm like, I'm actually going to a podcast to talk about a book that was written about me. And they are all incredibly impressed.
I see how that.
Hang on.
I see how that is technically.
Yeah.
This is the CEO that
You are in the
about.
presence of a CEO.
Oh, shit.
But,
look out.
but not just on
Just
the
a
record,
disclaimer.
not this CEO.
I know that already, but
hang on.
you are a CEO. That's all I need
If
to
I'm
know.
not mistaken, have you
the CEO
not?
from the other company that he's trying
He's not
to-
up to that part yet.
No, I'm not up to that part, so I couldn't
Oh,
tell
you're
you.
the only one who's finished it, man.
But I believe I was not a CEO when this book started, so I'm going to go
But you've
with
made your way.
Very,
It was,
very
I
convenient.
believe 15
Yeah.
years, was it?
15 years.
That he worked at
Doesn't matter. 15 years?
in the game
Nine.
with me.
No, 9 years.
9 years.
15
I
years
know
sounds
you-
better.
I know-
Let's go with that.
I got out on good behaviour.
How many times were you signing in a week?
I knew Greg before that, though. I knew
Oh,
Greg.
yeah, we've known each other for
Long
20
yeah,
something
20
years.
You're not that old, are you?
Yeah.
Either of you.
I'm
But
50.
Anyway,
You got a nice beard. I mean, I
Greg,
must admit
Greg,
that.
I did
Fucking I
2
showed mine
years.
off this morning.
Why?
Cameras.
Yeah, I know. I started trimming and then I went, oh, what the fuck is going on here? And I started with no moustache.
You have to have a sip every time he drops an F-bomb.
I'll go with
I
that.
look out
Anyway,
really under the table. Don't really look for me.
You pisshead.
See, I did 2 years, but you did
I did not.
That's a long
20.
time, man.
20 years.
That's a
more
long
than
time.
4 times more.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, you know, I do.
and I'm only 30 and I look like this.
That's how I buy it.
That's what Paul will do to you.
I did get a lot of entertainment out of Greg. And that
I
was-
called it punishment. He called it entertainment.
It was
Hey, either either.
watching you.
Potato.
Watching you move into a space where you actually thought you were worthy is very interesting, because you do things and you make things happen and you go, oh, I can. And you watch someone grow and develop. But one of the things that you said after reading some of the book about one of the characters, you said, oh, I begin to not like that person. However, what did you say?
So, yeah, the kind of the centre of the story of the CEO in this book that's, a prize prick. And I could see lots of people that I know and I've worked with and that we've
This
worked
the
with
normal
together
guy?
as this character. And I was like, I hate this jerk. And then I got a little bit further and started seeing myself in that person. I'm like, hang on a second. That's when I went back and read that chapter again. I must have misread this, but no, it's true.
And honest.
Yeah.
You could learn from Greg Paul.
Maybe we should we should really write books about every person we know and then they'd understand where the fuck we are with them.
Yeah,
That's it.
Cheers.
So, Greg, that was insightful, and you did share something in the early part of the book where the hospital scene, he walks in with Chloe's got a broken arm.
Yeah, so his daughter's got a broken arm, and he gets a panic call to rock up to the
I'm listening.
rock up to the hospital, and it's typical hospitals. It's full, triaged. It's taking longer than he would like, and in typical general CEO fashion, narcissistic behaviour, thinking he's a big deal, he's throwing his weight around. But it's just, to me, it was actually a sad chapter, and it actually hit home. And it hit home for a few reasons. One is that there are people out there like that, and that his daughter breaking her arm was an inconvenience to him. But then I started looking at myself and going, well, I actually behave like that sometimes too. I worked out, because I've got children from the age of 23 down to 11. I worked out once that I was going to be going to school plays and speech nights for 27 years straight, and I nearly necked myself.
Just let it flow, man. Don't work that shit out.
But this chapter really punched me in the face a little bit about my own, not necessarily behaviour, but my thoughts behind that when I'm sitting through, I'm always excited to see my child in that concert, but I'm watching all the other classes and these kids go through, and I'm like, my God, when's this going to be over?
He'll never be as good as Jimmy.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
There's some really untalented children.
Get him off! Jimmy,
Yeah.
come back on.
And then I find myself wanting to check my emails, and it's ridiculous. So it made me feel sad looking at myself, but this guy's next level. But we all know people like that. People that'll, scream and yell at nurses and doctors and things like this, and that they want to pay their way through
But
life.
I think the wife had to come home and get dressed first, didn't she?
She did. She didn't
What are you doing wearing activewear out? You can't be you're my wife. You can't be coming from the gym to see the daughter. Get home and put some lippy on and look the part.
And that's the thing. It seems farcical, but we all know people like that. We all know people like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
people literally
it's
like that.
sad.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like
Who's
copy
this
and paste clones.
Yeah.
Like,
I see it all the time.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
who's to say they're wrong?
that's true, man.
Who's to say you should let your wife
absolutely
wear
true.
active wear at the hospital? No matter the circumstances.
I can tell you definitively why they're wrong. You behave like that. Absolutely.
Especially if it's sweaty active wear.
Do any of us think that Norm has a happy life?
Yes.
No.
No.
He seemed fucking great in the first chapter.
No.
He's having a little bit of a,
yeah.
oh, you guys are fucked. And then he's like,
He's very
Keep
confident
reading.
based on the one chapter.
very confident.
That he knows the
And that's all I'm
You should
saying.
read as quick as you can.
Like me.
And he's a bit of a laugh and a chuff. Like,
Yeah. Like me, you need to read that chapter a second time, and then the penny drops.
I don't know about
But,
that. It wasn't that exciting.
Your point.
Your eyes in his glass and start reading.
I mean, I've just read 3 chapters past the first chapter, and they're all boring.
Well, the reality is Norm wasn't even throwing his weight around out triaging with the nurses and the doctors to actually get swifter care and good care for his
He
daughter.
seems like a good
he
bloke,
was
man.
doing it to you. I think you.
You need to read a few more chapters on your way in, I'm telling you.
How many chapters are there?
He was doing it for himself.
Them through.
And he wasn't doing it to speed things
I know.
up so that he could
21
get out of there
chapters is a bit
quicker.
too much.
That was part of it. But he wanted everybody that could hear him yelling to think that he was a big, important person.
Very important,
right? And that just
VLT.
comes from insecurity. He's just
But he was
insecure
already
about who he is.
so prominent in his figure, his stance.
Take this guy on the road.
Yeah, but it's all Paul and I have had many conversations. Bravado's just a shield, right? So what we put out there for
isn't it?
everybody to see is to protect the insecurities that we don't want them to see. And that Norm is exactly that the whole way through. And everybody that I think Norm is loosely based on is like that.
Well, if you shed a tear so early in the book,
Yeah. I'm going to be a write-off. Do any
you'll need a
dogs
carton
die?
of tissues by the
Do
end.
any dogs die in this book?
There are dogs. There are dogs that will come into the story.
I don't
Any
know if I can
animals
get to
harmed?
yeah.
No, well, actually, I cannot
Self-harm
comment.
or
I cannot
other?
comment. Cannot comment. Actually,
Well, what we were,
what a great.
what the you're right on it.
Interpretation.
You're actually right on it. So you actually got it. So the place of the journey of all of us is to look more closely and analyse to a point where you're looking past just the actions and saying what is truly behind the behaviour. What's behind the behaviour? Because the behaviour is the way it is, but why is it that way? And why is it so often caught up in the need to
Beat the chest.
demand?
But are we,
demand
but are
what
we
you
looking
believe.
at the subconscious or the conscious level of behaviour?
It's both, because as we're trying to look at ourselves in our subconscious and conscious behaviour, both things are occurring at the same time. I don't think that, part of us are conscious of it, but the parts that are unconscious that we know about ourselves we're not conscious of at the time, but we can look back and say, okay, was that behaviour, where was it coming from? The place of where Norm is
Self-righteousness.
self-righteousness.
But only when it's brought up, because if you don't know about it, how are you meant to address the subconscious behaviours that you have?
That's right. So the address.
Well, I'm an absolute fuckwit, but I'm sorry, I didn't understand
well,
and I
well,
didn't realise that.
If you
It's
read
good morning, isn't it?
Stop swearing.
It's not my fault, mate. It's the book.
if you read the entire
You
book,
got the title wrong. It's only Thursday.
I'm still going.
It's only Thursday.
Did you miss
Fuck,
the bit?
it's only Thursday.
Did you miss the bit where Joe said we have to scull every time you swear?
Not skull.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
Sit.
If we skull, we'll die.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could
This
have
is
done
true.
Give a
Sorry,
little
mate.
bit there.
Well, look at you
waved
guys.
away.
You're pouring again. I'm still just sitting on my first one.
Well, so you should.
He's too busy
Yeah, well,
swearing.
Anyway.
Sit for a skull.
keep
Right,
us
come
all
on,
drunk.
guys.
Anyway,
Bring yourselves down a bit.
Can I relate a similar story?
Yes.
Where, I might have been in one or two hotels at my time.
Might have been, or
And it
Definitely.
might not be the best hotel, and it's not the 16-year-old waitress's fault that the meals didn't come out as they were ordered or whatever. But here's, missing titled from, I won't mention
Burnside.
Burnside,
Poor girls.
Unling,
Poor girls.
that side of town. They've come down beachside and
Tennyson.
yeah. Well, they-
I don't know anyone from
They
there.
just pop down the road,
Never know anyone from
But she feels she's got the right to admonish a 16-year-old over the state of her food until she's bawling behind the bar. And as a bystander, and I don't know why no one called Norm out about it in the hospital ward, but if I had been sitting there, I would have said something about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No compliments to the
Because-
chef.
Absolutely
Yeah.
would have.
In this day and age, that's not how you get on.
No.
Karens in the world.
Yeah.
Have we got any Kens in the room?
I think I'm about 5 of them right now.
Well,
Definitely.
he asked. So one of you asked the question: is Norm happy? But
Never asked that question.
well,
Within
the
his
other-
own
but
mind.
the other, yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Does Norm think he's happy?